Well, hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast with me, your host, Gumballhead. This is Road Rants, where I tell you that there's 73 miles in my gas tank, so I gotta pull over and get gas. Road Rants is a series that I designed to basically record low budget, but while I'm driving, it gives me something to do because I don't have a radio in my car. So take a listen and see how things go. You might learn something, or you might think about some stuff. So today I sent a sound check to Anarchy to Diapers podcast host Dan, as well as the frontman for the band Anti-Wise. His name is Tommy Wise, by the way. And I sent them a song called Beware the Centrist by a band out of Connecticut named The World is a Beautiful Place, and I am no longer afraid to die. You can shorten it to TWIABF, but you can find it there. Oh, by the way, today's the date, August 13th, 2026. I've made it 8 months without saying 2025. I'm pretty proud of myself. I still type it every once in a while at work, but I think we're past that at this point. But anyway, so I've been looking for that song. I hear it on the radio station that I listen to while I'm at work pretty consistently. And every time it comes up, I don't think that the radio station has the rights to say or to show what it is, because it's always the song before it that plays, that holds that graphic through. So I've struggled to find out who they were, but finally I caught the name. And I shared it to a couple of people that I work with, and the two people that I shared it with seemed to like it. Why am I talking about this? Well, every Thursday, I send my song of the week, if you will, to Dan and Tommy, and just give them something a little bit different to listen to. Now, if you're an audiophile like I am, I listen to everything. Yesterday, I listened to binaural beats and upbeat music for concentration. The day before that, I listened to elevator music. On Monday, I listened to a mishmash of things. And today, actually, I listened to 90s grunge radio. So I listen to a little bit of everything while I'm at work. It's just whatever mood hits me. And I like to share music with people because I feel that it's a beautiful language. Now, the reason why I decided to podcast tonight is because I had something pop into my head, and it kind of stemmed from the name of the band, The World is a Beautiful Place, and it just kind of brought something to my mind. And here it is. This is the depth of it, and this is going to maybe be a shocker, but maybe not. But I want to be transparent on something. And it's tough to talk about because mental health is a huge thing, but obviously that is kind of the theme of our podcast. Music has pulled me out of some of the darkest places in my life, and it's funny how many times I've thought to myself, you know, today would be a good day to die. Today would be a good day to take my own life and, you know, just be over with it, be done with it. You know, I'm afraid of getting old and getting sick, getting some form of disease or illness, and, you know, dying a frickin' miserable death as a result of my past choices. You know, cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis. You know, I'm almost 50 years old. I've made it a long time without a major disease, but I lived my entire life with thyroid disease. And it just, you know, that thought kind of slapped me in the face today while I was listening to a song. It was actually Nutshell by Alice in Chains. And it just kind of dawned on me, you know, I've lost friends. I lost friends in high school, shortly after high school, before high school got out. I lost friends after high school to various different things. The hometown that I'm from, you know, people get weird cancers and weird diseases there, and they've passed away from those diseases and those ailments. I've got friends that have, gotten metastatic breast cancer and prostate cancer, thyroid cancer, medullary thyroid cancer, stomach cancer, all because of the groundwater of what we grew up in. And if you guys want to know more about that, I've done a podcast with the Toxic Action Labs. I think I titled it Justice for Otsego. But that is my hometown, and it was a really, really neat podcast to be a part of because it was both sides. I was interviewed, but I was also interviewing at the same time. It was a very unique experience. Probably back in the 200s of the episodes, towards the end. Take a look between episodes 260 and 280. I'm not 100% sure what episode it was, but I can repost it too. Or you can go to our website, gumballhead.com, and it's posted right there. You can see it. It's Toxic Action Labs, Justice for Otsego podcast. But let's get back to the conversation I started with myself. There have been times in my life where I've just kind of looked at all the things that I had going in my life, and I'm just like, you know what? I give up. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time with it. I just, it'd be easier to just go. But it's ironic because of all the times that I've had that desire and that thought process, even the attempts that I've made in the past, it's always come around to what would this world be like without me? And that may sound a little egotistical or a little vain, but let me explain that to some people. I'm an unorthodox educator. I don't teach people by what the book says. I don't teach people by, collegiate education. I teach them from experiences that I've had. And the beauty of it is if I haven't had that experience, I may know somebody in my life or in passing that has had an experience similar to the people that I'm speaking to that I can connect them with to where they can get that help and that assistance. This network that we have is huge. It's worldwide. That's where we came up with the Gumball Head Worldwide. But it's a encompassing thing. And I've been reaching out to some of my past guests and some of my friends lately on TikTok and checking in with them and seeing how they're doing mental health-wise, seeing how they're doing, in their life, and seeing how they're doing, financially and whatever. And just kind of, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about you. I want to make sure you're doing okay. And there's been a great response from those people. I've developed a lot of friendships and relationships in my lifetime, and a lot of them are based on trauma, and a lot of them are based on recovery. Some of them are based on, like-minded interests and such and things. But for the most part, I just sit back and I even in those darkest moments that I've had in the past, it's like, yeah, but you know what? What if my kids? What if my wife? I don't really want this to sound bad, but aside from my children, I don't really have a whole lot in this world to motivate me to keep going. But the children are the biggest thing. What would life be like being raised by someone else? What would life be like being raised by your mom only? What would life be like if you had to live with that thought process of my dad took his own life, or my mom took their own life, or my brother took their own life? Those are things that are kind of scary to think about, but those aren't the things that run through your head when you're making those contemplative thoughts and when you're putting a plan into process. Look, guys, I totally understand that mental health game that we play with ourselves on a consistent basis. My wife even has a philosophy or a conspiracy theory, if you will, that the COVID vaccination created this chemical ability or mechanical ability for the government to control the thinking. We sit back and we look at some of the old, where we lived at back in Kalamazoo, and we just see stabbings and shootings and suicides and all of these things happening in our hometown that we created a life together in. And it's crazy. It's insane the amount of stuff that's happened to our city since we left. The city that created the COVID-19 vaccinations. Now, if you're vaccinated, good for you. Congratulations. I hope it's done you well. If you're not vaccinated, good for you standing your ground and not doing it. If you were unable to afford it, well, it was free. But it was another chemical that we introduced to our bodies that we don't need. And I'm not going to go on any conspiracy theories or any tangents about the COVID-19 vaccination today doesn't mean that it's not going to come in the future. But I do try to remain open-minded when it comes to that. Your choice, your body, your life. And that's one of those things that's crazy. Now, going back again to the conversation that I had started about a good day to die. You know, I saw a Facebook post a while back that was, I will die a happy man because my punk rock bucket list has been checked off because I saw a band that I really liked, Black Flag, perform. None of the original members, aside from the bass player, were involved in that concert. However, I did meet some really great people during that show. I met the drummer for Offspring, Brandon Pertzborn. He was drumming for Black Flag at the time. At that point in time, he was very young, maybe early 20s. Now he's married, he's got a child, he's doing great for himself. He's played with a lot of bands like Limp Bizkit, Suicidal Tendencies. He's played with a lot of different bands, and he's living his life. You know, I met Jay, Brooke Lipe. We've interviewed him on our show as well. And he is amazing as well. He's a fantastic human being. He does great for the community, and he's a very talented musician. Music is a huge part of my life. I'm not musically inclined, but I do like the way that music sounds, and it makes me feel good. Now, when each one of my children were born, I played a song for each one of them. They each heard an entire song in their bassinet in the hospital, ranging from my oldest, 26 years old, all the way down to my youngest, 5 months old. And the only one that missed out on that opportunity was my 18-year-old, but I've shared a lot of great music with him in the last couple of years. And recently, as I've said before in previous podcasts, the Red Hot Chili Peppers' Blood Sugar Sex Magik album. That album's gotten me through a lot of stuff in my life. And music has gotten me through a lot of these things. Now, let's take this into a positive note. Sitting back and looking at all the things that I have accomplished since I went through those tumultuous times, through those times where I've been triggered. Here's the thing. I've been through the dark parts of life, and I've succeeded. I've always had better days than I have worse days. I've had more good days than I've had bad days. And I've been through more positive shit in my life than I have negative shit. And most people don't really look at it that way. They look at, oh, I lost my job. Oh, I went through this. Oh, I'm going through a divorce. Oh, I lost a child. That's hard. I've never done that. I've experienced miscarries, but I haven't experienced the loss of a child, and knock on wood, I hope that that they all outlive me. But the worst thing about all of this thought process is simply, what would the world be like if you weren't here? What would the world be like? What would life be like? Now, mind you, we're one of billions of people. Millions, billions, whatever the number is. Sorry, not educated on the amount of humans on the planet. But we're just one person. We're one cog in the wheel. We're one person that pays their taxes. We're one person that struggles financially. We're one person that struggles mentally and physically and emotionally. But collectively, we create this network, this community, this group of people that either A, get sick and tired of the bullshit that they're putting up with, or B, a group that supports one another to get those people off their butts and change the way things are. All of those negative things that I've had happen in my life, I've pushed through, I've persevered, I've overcome, I've been successful. I'm 100% successful in all of the bad days of my life. And guess what? You are too. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you are 100% successful in the shittiest of the shitty days that have happened to you in your life. My kids being born, some of the most magical moments in my life. Some of the most stressful moments in my life. Some of the most shameful moments in my life. Having children out of wedlock. Getting pregnant while married. You know, weird things that happen in the past. Having those affairs, emotional affairs. I've been through those affairs. I know now that I can identify with those things. And I sat there today thinking about my wife the entire day, periodically, off and on, and just thinking, my wife's at home, raising my children. She's putting up with, you know, sass and food being thrown and kids crying and babies pooping and changing diapers. And she even said to me while I was on the phone with her, I sat down for 5 minutes, and every time I sit down, somebody needs something. You know, I can help when I get home. That doesn't stop the fact that she's exhausted. She doesn't take days off. She's always there when the kids are sick. She's there when she's sick. You know, and I do try to help out sometimes, but I'm not very good at that. I'm not very good at that, and I acknowledge that. You know, none of us are good at that. A lot of us struggle with being there for our partners and being there for others because we're trying to fight those battles inside our brains. It's crazy because on the one side, I sit back and I look at the things that my wife goes through and deals with on a persistent basis with my kids and with her mind and with her family and with her, you know, her health and her mental health and her postpartum depression and all of these things. They're a challenge for her. And then it's like, well, what about me? You know, that selfishness comes in. Guys, we're all privy to that. We're all known to do stupid shit like that, to deal with, you know, those negative things that happen to us, and it sucks. We can't change that. It's not easy to change, but we can be mindful of it. We can be understanding of it. And you know what? Those dark times that I've dealt with in my past, that's the thing. Sit there in silence and contemplate all of the things that will be affected and the way that the universe will change if we didn't exist, if we weren't here. How many kids of our children would be affected? How many of our family members would be affected? How your job would be affected? It's never a good thing. Be mindful of that, guys. You're 100% successful in all your negative shit that's happened to you in your life. I love you. I don't know who you are, and I don't care who you are. I love you. There's one person on this planet that loves you, and that person is me. If you ever need an opportunity to reach out and talk, please do so. You can reach us at normalisn'tnecessarypodcast@gmail.com. We could chat. You can reach us at gumballhead.com. Our links are there. Our email is there. We are readily available for anybody that needs help. Find us on Facebook. Explore the Gumball. You can find us on all of our podcasts. Most of our podcasts have good information in them, or at least a little bit of entertainment. Guys, you guys are amazing. Don't ever let anybody make you feel differently. I have bad days at work. I have bad days at home. I have bad days on the video games. Tomorrow's Friday. I'm really looking forward to it. My wife and kids are actually going to go out of town. And I'm going to be readily available to do whatever the hell I want when I get out of work. But guess what? Chances are I'm probably going to work late. And that's unfortunate for me, but it's fortunate for someone else. Someone always benefits from our existence in one way or another. Don't ever forget that. But the most important thing is benefit yourself. Take care of those things that got you down. Understand those things. Respect those things. They're going to exist whether you think about them or not. They're going to be there. But it doesn't have to be a bad moment. It doesn't have to be a bad experience. It can be a positive experience. Speaking of positive, much love to all of you. And until our paths cross, stay strong, stay focused, stay sober. Much love. We'll see you all soon.